Conversations podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations podcast. And today we have another special edition of Ask NAATI. And ever again, so lucky to have with me Aurelie Sheehan, the certification manager, and Michael Nemarich, the national operations manager. Hey, folks, welcome.
Hi, Fatih.
Thank you again so much for joining me. It's been a while. I know that you both have been keeping very busy, so I really do appreciate your time. And we do have quite a few questions that have come in, and even though we have been saying we'll select a few, historically we've been kind of asking all the questions and answering all the questions, right? So we will stick to that plan today as well. So it might be a bit of a longer episode than usual, but I'll try to break it down and make it a little bit easier to consume for you out there. Like I said, I have today with me Aurelie Sheehan, who is the National Certification Manager for NAATI, and also have Michael Nemarich, the National Operations Manager. And there's quite a few questions have come in, and they've been so kind to share the questions amongst them. And so what I'm basically going to do is, you've got the experts here. I'll just ask the questions and I'll let them do all the talking. Let's get straight into it. Michael, this one goes out to you. There have been a few questions asked similar to this, so I'm going to consolidate them and ask you in the one question. There is been talks of an electronic stamp instead of an ink stamp. When will NAATI provide practitioners with an electronic stamp?
Hopefully October. So that's the short answer. The stamp we've developed, the technical part of it is reasonably easy. The design is going to be along the lines of the current physical stamp, but it will have a QR code and it will have a part that says it's digitally verified by NAATI. The ability to get it will be, you'll have to log into your My NAATI practitioner portal, download it, and it'll be valid on the day that it's downloaded. So that ensures some security. And then when someone scans the QR code, it will link to the day that it was downloaded to verify it. So that's the security and the mechanism around it. That's in development now. It should be ready for release in October. The bigger piece of work is the acceptance of that digital stamp by agencies like Department of Home Affairs or motor vehicle registries around the country to accept the digital stamp rather than the one that they've been accepting for the last 40 odd years. So we've started those conversations now as well. So all going to plan October. I would very much dislike it to drag past sort of Feb at the very latest. So we should have something really soon. And then pending take up, we think that the physical stamp will transition out over time, and it will be if you want one, you'll have to request it, but digital will be the way to go. I think most translators I've talked to are making digital copies of their physical stamp anyway. So it sort of belongs 5 to 10 years ago, the physical stamp. Digital one should be able to replace it.
All right, let's move on. Aurelie, this one's for you. Now we have some questions about some particular languages and availability of certification testing. All right, so this one's for you, Aurelie. I would like to get my NAATI certification for Kurmanji Kurdish. Could you please let me know how I can do that, or what should I do?
So basically we'll be testing Kurmanji Kurdish next year. So with the first session being available on the 5th of September 2023, followed by another one in January 2024. So what they can do is basically submit an application to sit the test, basically. So all the information is on our website. They'll have to check if they meet all the prerequisites and if they are eligible to sit the test. But yeah, there'll be 2 sessions available next year. I mean, 2023 and January 2024. Yeah.
And we do know that time flies, so
yeah, that's right.
that won't be too far away.
Exactly.
Similar questions for you, Michael. The languages are different. What's happening with Chaldean for certification testing and Sudanese?
Yeah, so both Chaldean and Sudanese Arabic are both offered as recognised practicing languages. So We've probably said this on the podcast a couple of times before, but there's over 7,000 languages spoken in the world, over 300 spoken in Australia. NAATI's never going to be able to test in all of them. There's either a lack of demand from candidates or a lack of ability to get the appropriately qualified examiners to mark the tests or set the tests. Both Chaldean and Sudanese Arabic are offered at recognised practicing. For that reason, there's not enough demand in Australia for those languages. So we review the language development list constantly, but at the moment, out to the end of 2025, neither of those languages will be tested.
All right, thank you. Something relating to recertification and work requirement hours and PD requirements. Aurelie, this one's for you. The first year of COVID, there was a marked drop in interpreting work available. Would you consider granting an extension to practitioners whose recertification period included lockdowns?
So we did reduce the recertification requirements by excluding 2020 completely from any practitioners that had it in their recertification period. But you know, at this stage, we're not looking at reducing the requirements, but again, depending on individual circumstances, we're quite happy to be looking at this on a case-by-case basis if there are circumstances that would need some consideration on that level. Yeah.
Thank you. This one comes from a Certified Provisional Interpreter in Tamil from Victoria. I want to become a certified interpreter and then a specialist legal and health interpreter, at which level I have enough past experience. As NAATI exams in Tamil are presently not offered for several years now, is there any alternate method of achieving my goals?
So the short answer would be no, because at this level, we only offer certification through testing. So there's no recognition of work practice or what we would do for recognition practicing when we don't have testing available. But at this level, we don't do that. So there's only 6 languages we test at the moment for specialized interpreting tests, and Tamil is not one that is included. And again, like Michael was saying in the previous question, there's certain languages that we won't be able to test and that can be based on demand. It's the same for the higher level of interpreting test. The demand drives as well the languages that we make available, and Tamil at the moment is not one that we are considering for testing in the coming years.
Michael, for you, if I fail a certification test once, how long do I need to wait to take another test?
You can apply straight away. In practice, that means you receive results, put in an application, you could be within 6 to 8 weeks of the next test session.
All right, very good, easy. If you fail, as soon as you get your results, you can reapply. Michael, another one for you. I'm a recognized interpreter. If I get PD points for various things, then do I still need to sit for my certification test? Or can I just get certified on the basis of PD points?
No, similar to the previous Tamil question, for specialist, all certifications are only issued via testing. So we don't, if someone's currently recognised practicing, they would need to apply for and sit a certification test to get that credential.
So you can't accumulate hundreds or thousands of PD points and then get certification for that. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to.
It was one of the key designs of the current certification system, is that only NAATI tests and certifications are only issued via testing, rather than, you know, in the old days, the accreditation either coming through approved courses or stuff, which led to inconsistencies in application of standard.
Understandable, thank you. Aurelie, this one's for you. I'm currently a certified translator, English into Japanese. If I like to sit a test for the other direction, Japanese into English, do I need to meet the qualification requirements?
No, actually, if they already hold a certification in the same language, they're eligible to sit in the other direction. So CT into Japanese, CT into English, they can just apply to sit the test, basically.
Aurelie, this one's for you. I see that most courses are directed mostly to interpreters. Is it possible to have more courses focused on translation as well? I'm going to add just onto that question another similar question. It talks about PD as well. There's more PD for interpreters than for translators. Could NAATI organise more PD events for translators?
Thank you for that, Fatih. Well, NAATI is not providing any form of training or professional development. As you know, we're a certifying body, so our main services are around testing for certification and also for other tests, but also for we provide the recertification as well. So, you know, I'd recommend to look at the OSIT website or look at training institutions or Australian LSPs like All Graduates who provide some really good PDs and courses. So, you know, I really encourage them to look at their website and express interest to them for more translation PD, because as such, NAATI is not a training or PD provider. But I also encourage anyone who is listening to the podcast and who provides PDs to let us know as well, because we can advertise that on our website or through our monthly newsletter, where there are links as well to PD options. So yeah, they can contact us directly.
Thank you very much for that, Aurelie. And I do have to agree that, you know, there isn't a lot of PD out there for translators.
I agree.
And it is something that we are working on. As All Graduates, as Conversations. I can say that within the next few months, we will be launching a translation-focused PD as well. And on our website, there's already a few translation-focused PD material. On the OSIT website, there's quite a few. And in the recent last couple of years, they've added actually quite a lot more on translation. Like Aurelie has said, any other PD providers out there, please let NAATI know of what you have so that practitioners can find out more about it. So yes, hopefully there will be more translation focused, but until then, there's a few on our website, and OSIT's definitely got a few that would be quite interesting too, so please do have a look. Michael, this one's for you. I'm doing a lot of volunteering work, translating from English into Greek. How can I prove my volunteering work for recertification purposes since I'm not getting an invoice?
A reference from the volunteer organisation or recipient of those services would be sufficient in that scenario.
A reference, how? Can we elaborate?
Anything on a Word document that's signed or a PDF document that's signed from that person, that would be completely acceptable.
Aurelie, this one's for you. If a certified provisional interpreter that has been interpreting in legal, health and other matters for over 10 years, shouldn't she or he be automatically promoted to a certified interpreter?
Well, no. I mean, certification, especially, you know, when testing is available for languages, like certification is only possible through testing. We would not have really a way to verify the work they've done or if it's legitimate. So, you know, with testing, at least it's the way in the most reliable way that we can, you know, award credentials. So yeah, the short answer is no, that wouldn't be possible. Only certification would be available through testing.
Wonderful, thank you. I just want to make a comment regarding the questions that we're getting. So thank you so very much for sending these questions through. As we have been chatting earlier with you, the questions are compared to, you know, almost 2 years ago now when we first started doing these podcasts, we're getting some really nice, deep questions now. We're still getting the odd, you know, which category does this belong to and how do I do that? Some bit more, you know, if I may say, entry-level questions like that, and we're more than happy to ask them and answer them. But we're also getting some quite deep, involving questions as well, so we do appreciate. Having said that, some of the questions are quite wordy, and it may take me a long time to read all the comments and the questions within that question. So I'm not censoring, I'm only editing, because some of the comments and questions are so long that we might actually lose the question, and it will be a very, very long recording. So please keep your questions to the point, succinct, and I will ask them as such. So this next question has been edited from a very, very long question with comments. I do have to say that. But the main points that we have from this one are these two questions. This is from a Somali Certified Provisional Interpreter in the ACT, so home for you guys. Two questions. How are NAATI examiners selected?
So our examiners are selected through a thorough selection process. So first of all, they are all certified practitioners, and we require that they have at least 10 years of experience in the industry, so as practitioners, but also experience in marking and assessment and test and setting as well. So that's the first step. Now, when we have a first pool of candidates, we will ask them to do a screening task. So again, that enables us to ensure that they're presenting the skills that we're expecting from our future examiners. And if they are successful, then we provide them with thorough training to mark the test, but also to set the test. So we've got a pretty robust process there. Yeah.
Magnificent, thank you. Second question.
Mm-hmm.
Do candidates know the topics in advance before they sit the test?
So I guess we're talking about the CPI test here.
Well, let's talk about
general.
all the tests. Let's say start with CPI and then we'll go to the CI.
Okay, so let's talk about the interpreting test. So the first level is the CPI test, the Certified Provisional Interpreter test. So this test is composed of 3 tasks, and they are all live dialogue tasks. So at the moment, candidates have the brief 15 minutes. So the brief to each task 15 minutes prior to sitting the task. And so they have a 15-minute preparation with the brief. The brief is a short text of 50 to 100 words, providing information about the situation of the dialogue and the people involved in that dialogue. So the candidates can do a bit of research and prepare a bit on the terminology they might expect for that dialogue. NAATI has launched a continuous improvement program last year, and we're about to implement our recommendations from that from the first year of consultations that we've done. And so as part of the adjustments we'll be introducing to our testing, moving forward, candidates will have the briefs 3 days in advance. So this will enable them to have obviously more time to prepare, be familiar with the domain of the tasks as well prior to test day, whereas they only find out about the domain of their tasks when they get the brief at the moment, which is on test day. So we'll be changing that. We're expecting those changes to happen later this year. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, later this year is probably just a couple of hours away.
Yeah, that's right. It will be here very fast. Yeah.
Magnificent. Thank you very much. And for certified interpreter test?
Yeah, so for certified interpreter test, so for the monologue tasks, they get the briefs 7 days in advance. So they would know the situation of the monologue and the domain of the tasks. For site translations, it's on the day. And for dialogue tasks, same thing. At the moment, it's on the day 15 minutes prior, but this will change moving forward with the 3 days prior.
Wonderful.
And for certified translator, it's on the day.
Very good. And looking forward to those changes. Thank you. Michael, you've been quiet there for the last few minutes. This one comes out to you. If we work for overseas agencies, does it count towards NAATI Recertification, or does it only count if we work in Australia? Thank you. This is from a Spanish Certified Provisional Interpreter.
Short answer is work anywhere in the world, and it's recognised by us. And I think that's appropriate, particularly, I mean, translators is a very, for the translation industry, it's very global anyway. It would be possibly abnormal to do entirely all your work within Australia. And but also interpreters now that video is more prevalent and conference interpreters are not being flown around the world, or they are getting flown around the world and their work is in Europe or the like. So absolutely, back to the short answer, absolutely we recognise it no matter where it's done.
While we have you there, Michael, and you're all warmed up, and I'll ask you another one. Any chance you will come back to rationality and finish with recertification? If TNIs are consulted, you will probably see that the vast majority is against the recertification program. It would be fair getting accredited and remaining accredited without conditionals as it was in the past.
So we disagree. The introduction of recertification was a key pillar of the certification system. We believe that it is consistent with other professions in the country that require ongoing professional development and research and work practice to maintain currency. It insists both NAATI in keeping a database of practitioners that are current in their work practice, and people that are booking can be confident that they're still active in the workplace and their skills are current. And it's a overall quality assurance for consumers that the people that they are booking have got relevant and current experience, just as skills in teaching or nursing or being a lawyer degrade over time, so do language skills. And so it's not just the language skills that can degrade over time, it's how you apply them in workplaces as well. So we believe that recertification has been a valuable addition, and I know we would just say that because of the question, but we had thousands of interviews in the lead up to the introduction of the certification system to get this process right. So we disagree that the majority don't agree with it. We believe that consumers, businesses, governments, and practitioners, as a general rule, are supportive of it. And we believe that, as I mentioned, it's consistent with other professions.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Like we said, we will ask your questions as they are written, as long as they're nice and short, like you saw there. Next one. Aurelie, I think we'll give Michael a bit of a break now.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
We'll ask you a question. This one starts like this. NAATI, why do so many university graduates that sit for the translation exam fail? NAATI must reconsider re-examining its marking system and the training of examiners. Mm-hmm. Greek certified interpreter from Victoria.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start by saying that NAATI certification tests are high-level professional tests. So although training is extremely important and it's part of our training, of our testing prerequisites, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you'll be a successful interpreter or translator. There's also practice, and in the context of testing, preparation for the test and a lot of practice prior to it is necessary, but as well understanding the requirements of the test. Our tests are professional tests. They're assessing key competencies for that candidates need to demonstrate to become professional translators or interpreters. And that's mainly language proficiency, but transfer competencies as well. So they are high-level tests. And this is mainly because we want to maintain high standards in the industry. So we all know what the consequences of a bad translation or bad interpreting can lead to. And so perhaps there's a perception that the tests are too high level and people are failing. But this is really what the focus of our test is. And just on the other part, which is around, I think, the examiners.
Yeah, so the question was, NAATI must consider re-examining its marking system, which you've addressed, and the training of examiners.
Yeah, so in the previous question, I've already mentioned how examiners are selected and trained. So there's a really thorough and robust process around this. But as you know, with everything, we're always committed to continuous improvement and quality and maintenance of quality standards. So again, with our continuous improvement program, we have been able to analyze 3 years of data and work on an inter-rater reliability study. It's still work in progress at this stage. So this will give us a lot of insight to keep consolidating the support and the training we are already giving to our examiners. So that's really exciting. But also with the continuous training and performance evaluation we can provide to them, we are hoping to see other benefits, such as less third marking, for instance, and results that can be issued more promptly as well. So you know, we have very robust processes there, and we're confident that our examiners are marking you know, with in compliance with NAATI standards.
Definitely, that's one would like to think, with all the hard work that goes in training them. One question from me to you that's not on here. When can we hear more about the CIP? Are you going to be announcing it, presenting on it soon?
Yes, so there's already information available on our website, so where people can access the list of the 20 recommendations that have come out of our consultation and data collection process. I will also be presenting at the NZSTI conference for those who might be attending this. This is a virtual event, so I'll be talking there as well. We have made a lot of information available through our NAATI news as well. So there are different areas where information about the project is available. I think the easier way to find out more about it is to go to our website.
And I will, with your, if you allow me, I will put it into the description as well, the link to that.
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah.
Report. Okay, let's do that. And I'm sure that we'll see you around talking more about the CIP over the next coming few weeks and months.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Michael, this one's a little bit long, so bear with me. And I couldn't really cut this in any particular way, so I'm just going to read it as it is. Given the presumption that only NAATI-certified interpreters shall be used in government-run agencies, for example, courts and hospitals, it is nonetheless a fact that agencies, private and government-backed, still blatantly hire and use unqualified persons in interpreting work within government-run agencies. Now, in the question, in this comment, there are names of agencies given, which I'm not going to repeat here for legal reasons. What dialogue have you undertaken with the government agencies to ensure that they use only NAATI-certified interpreters from interpreter agencies instead of usurpers from the streets?
It's ongoing. We certainly know that it's a problem out in the marketplace. We think that it is obviously a risk to those agencies that are using uncertified people. I think as an overall statement, we've done a reasonable job to date as NAATI of getting those policies written into procurement procedures in hospitals and courts and the like. The application of those policies and procedures is now the thing that's being tested and not applied properly. So we've definitely got an ongoing requirement, but ongoing conversation that we're already having with the people that make those decisions and the people that are applying those decisions to ensure that they recognise the value of certified interpreters and translators, see that it is a profession that has broader impact than just that one assignment. You know, if you get the wording wrong in an interpreting assignment in a court or a hospital, it can lead to dire consequences. So we've done a good job, I think, of getting to the point we've got where it's in the policies and procedures of organisations. Just last week, the updated Judicial Council on Cultural Diversity recommended standards for working with interpreters, bit of a mouthful, but that relaunched just last week. So documents like that are good, but we do know that it is still out there and that there is still people doing a race to the bottom, and by taking uncertified people, that allows them to try and drop the costs. So it's an ongoing conversation for us. I can't say that it's all going to be fixed tomorrow, but we're certainly committed to both advocating for professional interpreters and ensuring that where it is part of the policies and procedures of organisations that is applied properly.
Well, we'll look forward to that. There's still, like you said, there's work that has been done, but it looks like there's still a bit of work to do in that regard. So good luck, and let us know if there's anything we can do to support. Michael, this one's for you as well. A couple of questions about this particular topic, and they do mention a lot of company and organisation names, which I simply can't go into for legal reasons. But the general gist of those comments and questions are about an interpreter's award, industry award. Can you tell us, do you know anything about an industry award rate for interpreters currently? Is there any talks?
Yeah, there are talks. I think it's worth pointing out NAATI's place as a starting point, which is we're the standards and certifying body. So we're not a members organisation like ASLE or AUSIT, and we're not a union like Professionals Australia. So and we're not an employer either. So we're not a language service provider. So our role in the setting and maintaining of pay rates is as a contributor to the discussion rather than a leader of the discussion or inputs. Having said that, we do know that Professionals Australia, the union representing the T&I profession, did put a submission in for the modern award to be applied. So translators and interpreters are already covered under the Health Industry Award. And I apologise, I'm probably not getting every single bit of this exactly right, but telling you what we know. The original application was to extend that health award out more broadly to anywhere a translator or interpreter was working. We believe that that got put to the side or seen as not appropriate because of some of the other conditions in that award that would have made language service provision problematic. The current iteration is a specific language services industry award to cover translators and interpreters wherever they are without the constraints that are held by the current Health Industry Award. So Professionals Australia is leading the case from the translator and interpreter. I know that other organisations like the Australasian Association of Language Companies is putting their submissions in as well. And from the last I heard, there should be at least some movement on it by the end of the year. But going back to the starting point, NAATI is a contributor to the discussion. We unashamedly think that interpreters and translators should be paid more money and being given better conditions. It's a high-level skilled profession that we don't believe gets valued well enough currently, but are part of the process, again, as I said, as a contributor here.
Definitely, we're all for interpreters and translators, getting better rates. So hopefully these talks amount to something positive for the practitioners out there. And thanks again for your input. Okay, so this next question is for you again, Michael. Sorry, going to keep you busy. The NAATI portal mentions we have 13,100 plus practitioners. How does this compare with the number of practitioners, active ones, i.e. on the NAATI directory, prior to the introduction of certification? From a French certified translator, New South Wales.
Sure. It actually ties into one of the previous questions about recertification and why we do it. The previous NAATI database held every practitioner that was accredited from our inception in 1977. Because we didn't have a mechanism to ensure that people were current in the industry, that database ended up with over 80,000 people on it. 80. So on raw numbers, yes, it looks like we've got 67,000 less people. But the reality is lots of the people that were on the previous accreditation database could have been deceased. They might not have been in the industry anymore. It was unclear whether they were current in their work practice. So it's not a straight answer to the question. It was 80,000, but we could never have told you how many of those were actually active. With the recertification as part of the certification system, we are now confident that the people that are on there are active in the industry and current.
Wow, that's some really interesting numbers there. And so, you know, that goes to prove the work that is being done in that area, and it looks like it's definitely working. So thank you for those numbers there. This one I think we'll ask you, Aurelie. We've been keeping you quiet for a while now. Okay. Because you're also a certified translator for many, many years in French, and Michael, because you're not a certified translator in French for many, many years, I can't ask you this question. Okay. So let's ask Aurelie, what is the best way to deal with stamping or certifying translations containing multiple pages? For example, do we stamp and sign every single page or just the end of the document using page numbering? I know there are no clear guidelines from NAATI or OSIT, or is there? I was told by NAATI previously to check the client's requirements, but what if the client leaves it up to the translator? What is standard?
Yeah, so there are actually some guidelines available on the OSIT website. I think it's called Best Practice for the Translation of Official and Legal Documents.
Very good.
Yeah, that's the one. So there's a lot of advice there, but regarding signing and stamping, what's recommended for hard copy documents is to stamp and sign every page. Now, if it's an electronic copy, a signed stamp on the last page is sufficient. Now, I think it's still a good idea to check with the clients if the translator is unsure, because sometimes the client might have some other requirements based on the institutions they need the translation for instance. And I know, for instance, DFAT sometimes has some requirements to have a statement of the translator on the original as well. So, you know, it's always safe to check with the client to make sure we're meeting all that they need. Yeah, so I think as a reference point, the OSIT guidelines is probably the way to go as a starting point.
Wonderful. So yes, have a look at the OSIT website. I will put a link to that document in the description if you like. And every time I do an official document translation, I've actually got it printed out and it's just there on my desk at home. It's just, I can't get enough of it, and just always double checking to make sure.
Same.
So yeah, so, you know, have a look out there. I also want to say we're working at organizing a webinar Q&A session for translation of official documents, because we see a lot of these questions come in, and it can also be a PD towards translation as well. And we're looking at getting an experienced translator and answering some questions. And sometimes, you know, there are very niche questions depending on a certain document, and there are different ways that everyone does things. And hopefully, you know, especially for those that aren't as experienced, they have the opportunity to ask this person and hopefully shed light on some of those questions. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so I do have one more question, and this can come to the both of you, so you can share it if you like. I'm a NAATI certified translator, Arabic into English. I have a question regarding some of the courses. Will I still be eligible for PD points if I take interpreter-focused PD, such as conference interpreting, note-taking for interpreters, although I'm certified as a translator?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. The recertification catalogue has been designed to enable practitioners to do the professional development they require to do their job better for their chosen field. And it's not up to NAATI to decide whether you need a management course or a legal course, or to broaden your skills in interactional management, for example. So short answer, yes, as long as it fits within the recertification catalogue, it should be fine.
Did you want to add to that, Aurelie?
Well, yeah, I was looking at our PD catalog, and I think, for instance, in such circumstances, maybe under the category 1, there are some items there that could, satisfy the PDs in question, like category 1.4, for instance, provides a range of options as to what kind of PDs can be done, and that includes translating and interpreting PDs. So, yeah, I'd advise this person to have a look at the catalog as well and see, what the options are in there. But yeah, certainly we would consider it.
I also think that, if there is PD that is titled as an interpreter PD, but it focuses on a particular subject topic like healthcare or mental health, am I right in saying that, that knowledge is transferable to translation? I mean, it is about subject knowledge, for example.
Yeah, that would be fine. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Look, I am going to put the PD catalog in the episode description as well, and it's a great document, and I think there's a lot you can do with PD, and you have been very flexible with regards to what kind of PD you can use towards your recertification. So I think it's well worth having a look at all the categories and all the different points for each category. And if they do have any questions, they can ask in the next Ask NAATI episode. Thank you so much again, Aurelie and Michael. You are always very, very approachable, and people only see you on here on the Ask NAATI podcast when I talk to you with regards to these questions. But there's a lot of emailing going on. There's a lot of phone conversations regarding these questions, and I find you so always approachable and just available, ready to chat to me. So I really appreciate your time, for all the emails and for all the callbacks that you do come back to me. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
It's never a problem.
And hope to see you in the next episode. And I do look forward to hearing more about the CIP. Sounds very interesting.
Sure thing. Thank you, Fatih.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching today's Ask NAATI episode on the Conversations podcast. Please do subscribe and hit that like button. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much.
Conversations podcast.